Today's conversation is a different kind of story. This isn't a human design origin story, it's a human design evolution story. It's about the spiral, the way we keep circling back to the same themes: relationships, identity, freedom, fear, but at deeper levels each time. The way we think we should be done by now, and how life keeps inviting us further instead. Brandy and I talk about what it actually looks like to live this work in real time. Inside relationships, inside conflict, inside your nervous system. We explore the tension between victimhood and freedom, what it means to stop gaslighting yourself out of your own experience, and even how the body, including autoimmune patterns, can become part of the spiral of becoming rather than something to fight or fix. This is a conversation about integration, about trusting your perception, about staying resourced while you evolve, and about building community in a way that supports who you're becoming, not who you used to be. And if you felt like you're spiraling lately, maybe you're not spiraling out. Maybe you're spiraling upward into the next evolution of what you already know is true for you. Let's get into it. Welcome to Real Human Design Stories, where guests share their powerful personal stories of transformation through human design. I'm Kathy Bashanko, an intuitive human design mentor and guide to radical self-trust. Join us as we explore how your human design experiment can truly change your life. Hi there. I'm thrilled to have Brandy Jordan back on the podcast. She's actually my first guest to have been here 3 times, which tells you something right there. Brandy is a 6'2" Splenic Manifestor, and she has had an impact on me, and I'm sure she will on you. If you haven't already listened to the first episode I did with Brandy, that was episode 71, I'll put that in the comments, and you're definitely going to want to listen to it either before or after this one. So Brandy is a left angle cross of incarnation, and you can feel that inner presence. She's instinctive, clear, and deeply relational. Her work sits at the intersection of human design, somatic awareness, and relational psychology, with a focus on integration over insight and practice over peak experience. She teaches through a spiral-based approach that organizes experience across self, relationship, family, community, collective, and spirit. And she's currently stewarding the High Desert Human Design Conference as a living field, not just a weekend event. It will give you a lot of foundational information to really help you understand Brandy. But this is the story of the spiral. That's what this Real Human Design story is about. It's the spiral of everything. And it's something that Brandy spoke about a little bit in the first one, and it had a big impact on me. And I was looking at the transits this morning before we were recording this one, and I was reading about how Gate 63, which is where Venus is at the current moment, actually talks about the spiral and how in the spiral of life, all ends are beginnings. And I think that's such a beautiful place to start because I feel like the end of our last podcast was the beginning of another podcast. We did one with you and Richard Corbett. And then we are now in a situation where we're spiraling through other layers and new things and new beginnings. And this is such an exciting time to be doing this with this Saturn Neptune conjunction going on. We've got the Sun in Gate 55, which is such powerful energy. It's my life purpose in Gene Keys. It's the Earth, the design Earth. So I'm babbling, but I feel like we have so many things to talk about, and it really is a spiral. And I feel like that's how I talk all the time. I just go round and round and round and just kind of go up a little bit. So hello, welcome back. And we're going to talk about everything today, just so you know.
The whole spiral of it all,
Right.
because thank you, Kathy. Thank you. Thank you. I loved that bio. That felt very good and better than I would have written for myself. So I might steal some of those pieces. Thank you. It is the spiral of everything. Let me just start at the beginning. I don't remember the very end of our last conversation, but what I do remember is knowing that what I was sharing with you was the ways that I learned to parent myself in the world, the way I learned to parent my children, the way I learned to communicate with others, the way I learned to build resources for myself. All six of those spirals that you talk about, this teaching that I give, this ecosystem that I have built, this way that I go about my life in this spiral of everything is not new. This isn't something that I've created. It's just the way the universe builds anything that sustains itself. And so I am being a completely open sacral, no gates there. Efficiency is very important to me. My ego is my only motor. So it is somebody who has this configuration could probably help articulate this with me, but it is about life or death to be able to get from point A to point B in a way that is the most efficient. I don't know when this energy is going to be available again, and it's fast and it moves, right? And so
Mhm.
it wants to be as efficient as possible. And this spiral of everything is my 6364 pattern recognition ability to see the way the universe is efficient. The universe understands that in order to build a foundation of everything, that it is going to be insecure, and then it is going to find some kind of security. But until it finds security, it's not viable here.
Yeah.
And it knows that. That is the path of least resistance in the first line. So, in anything that we start in the world, this is the way I've applied this and the way that I teach wisdom keepers and students to apply this lens to the world around you. In that, when we apply this lens, we can see how to evolve without making it so personal. We can
Mhm.
see the process that we're here to move through. And from insecurity to security, I don't care if it's a new job, if it's a new exercise routine, if it's a new relationship, if it's a new idea, if it's a new haircut, we move from insecurity to security about the thing. So when there's any tinge of insecurity in my body, I have all the intellect to be able to pathologize myself, I promise you.
Mhm.
And I've done that. And now I don't. What I do is see where I can find more information to soothe the insecurity, to move into a place of solid selfness about that topic, right? In my process of unwinding some of my traumatic childhood, needed to give myself a balm all the time that said, "You're not wrong. You are not bad. You are not shameful." One of the mantras one of my favorite mentors gave me is right here, right now, you're safe. Right here. And so this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this spiral of everything is the
Mhm.
thing that I have built to prove that I am safe here, to prove that I don't have to use this finite energy in this body to protect myself from the world around me. But what I do get to do is use it to evolve this awareness. I just didn't know how. So the spiral of everything is the how that it's done, and not my how. It's just the how that the universe does it. And why that's important to me is because I want what I do to sustain itself. I want me to sustain myself. I want my beloveds to feel sustained within themselves, my communities, my surroundings. And so I can see that the trees feel sustained. They're not toiling.
Mhm.
The squirrels are not toiling. The cosmos, even though it's moving at thousands of miles an hour in a circle with fireballs everywhere and gaseous explosions, it's still doing this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Right.
The universe's nervous system, it is showing us how to regulate ourselves through everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And start again. Never think you've arrived because you never will. You'll always start back at one.
Yeah. And I think, maybe I'll go in and I'll put in a little visual here of a spiral because when we're talking about a spiral, we're not just talking about a flat spiral or something like you've got a cute little spiral kind of earring and it's kind of
Yeah.
a swirl, right? But we're talking about a three-dimensional spiral that spirals upward like almost like a cyclone. But the spiral, if we think about it, it's kind of always makes me think of that saying same level, new devil, or same devil, new level. Sorry, I said
Yeah,
that
yeah,
backwards,
yeah.
right? Because you're constantly coming back around,
Mhm.
to something, a lesson at a different level and a deeper experience. And I feel like collectively, that's been so intense lately.
Mhm.
It feels like there's so much that's going on that's really related to this energy we're in today while we're recording this, which is the sun in 55 and the earth in 59. And that energy of abundance and faith and the shadow of victimhood and blame that goes with that, and
Mhm.
also the gate 59 energy where we are looking for that intimacy and that creation that comes with that kind of really deep bonding on a tribal level, but yet it comes with this shadow of dishonesty. And I can see that going on out in the world.
Mhm.
And it's really this energy that is meant to keep taking us higher. And I had a beautiful conversation that came up in a group that I was in where we were talking about how, as people who are doing this work, it's really hard for us right now because we get to go first. And every time the spiral goes up, it's because someone goes first and steps to that next level, right? So that we don't just stay in this flats going round and round and round. Someone is leveling us up. And so we
Mhm.
get to go first. And but we've got to have that foundation, like you said, right, for the spiral to continue. And like you were saying about having to have that get past the fear to step upward.
Right.
And so,
And those edge pushers you're talking about, everybody's pushing an edge of their own development. Everyone, whether they are what we would call unaware in the world, or whether we are aware of our becoming and we are alchemizing the chemistry in our body, it doesn't matter. We are all there. So we're all pushing the edge of something, but what you and I are pushing the edge of, which is asking, we are on that edge of a new spiral right this very moment. You and I are pushing an edge, and lots of us that are in this awareness game are pushing the edge of how do we continue to stay aware without disassociating and sitting on a park bench, because that's no longer the guru story that is being had anymore. Those gurus were served a purpose and were beautiful. They were first line folks, right? They were showing us what it looked like to be awake and to sit there on that park bench and be out of the world itself and out of the demands and pressures of being a human in that world. And they showed us, they moved from insecurity to security in what it meant to be awake and not in that participation. And we said, wow, that's amazing. And so we became aware like that. We used those teachers as role models to move towards this surrendered being, right? And that was the goal of a spiritual practitioner, was surrender. Well, there is, which is wonderful and beautiful, and the time was right for that.
mhm,
And once we get to surrender, we, the human beings that are in this practice right now, because when the Eckhart Tolles of the world did it, it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. As you can see, awareness has picked up humans, right? The hundredth
yeah, for
molecule
sure.
happened, critical mass has been reached, and so it's spreading very fast. And what we're experiencing is, number one, we can't all sit on park benches. So how do we stay awake and aware with all that's going on without disassociating on a park bench, or without falling back into old beliefs because we don't know how to be in the world in any other way? So you and I do get stimulated. People like us who are pushing the edges of what it means to be awake and accept 55 is the only difference between victimhood and freedom is perception. And this is a very controversial and provocative statement. It's supposed to be 39. It's supposed to be provocative. It is
Right.
supposed to be the thing when we look at victim consciousness, and I'm not saying there are no victims in the world, but I am saying when you perceive it in a different way, things change. But what you and I and edge pushers are doing is we have to alchemize what's in our body that we still believe is victim. And so I'm going to talk about myself, and maybe you'll see yourself in this story, but I was raped at 14 and had a child by a grown man. These stories of thousands of women not being believed is stimulating inside of me. That story. It's stimulating inside of me. Not that I'm bad or wrong, not that I'm some immature something or other. No, there is still water in the cells of my body that remembers that moment and does not perceive it in a way that is healthy for me. So, what is happening in the chaos outside? You and me are in the second line, right? I talked about the first line. You and me, we're second liners. We are learning how to be in our bodies, right? What is the second line? It is natural movement. It is being able to allow your inside energy to move the meat suit no matter what the outside is doing, and to alchemize in relationship with everything around you, what's happening on the inside. That's line two. That's what we are doing now. So, how do we do that? First, we have to marry our minds with our bodies. We are here to bring back the mind, to bring back the mind into the body in a way in which the he can assist and guide and lead the she into what is more healthy for the vessel, healthy for the mechanism. And so, in order to do that, we need a structure, right? The Eckhart Tolles of the world, the Byron Katie's, they didn't need a structure to do that within. They were just the doing of it. They were building the foundation. We need to marry. This is a second line. This is about relationship with another. Well, what are we in relationship with? Ourselves. We've got to get back in relationship with ourselves. And then, and what is all of the, what is the spectrum of consciousness? What are the mental, emotional, psychosocial things that we go through in this experience of being with our beliefs, remembering that this is choreographed, remembering that there is no choice but perception, and still inhabiting our bodies, still being human, right? Allowing me to be angry at those motherfuckers who don't believe those girls, be angry at not being believed, even though I know it's all, that's all right. It's all fucking all right. But if I don't allow myself to feel this, wait, I am human and I was not believed and that is wrong, now I'm back healthy again because I was able to just feel that, not place the judgment on it to live there forever and persecute the person. No, I get to feel the feeling so that my system can come back to homeostasis. And that's what we are doing.
Yeah, there's been so much anger, and it's interesting to sit and look at this when you've committed yourself to living from this place of peace, right? I've been following those monks who just
Yeah.
walked from Texas to DC.
Mhm.
And during the walk, I wrote a blog about it because I was really practicing and still am holding the mantra that, and I can't say his name without looking at it, but the head monk was going around telling everyone to start the day by writing down, today is going to be my peaceful day, and then looking at it throughout the day and returning to that place. And I had been doing that, and it's really helped me. There were times it doesn't stop you from feeling a thing, but it helps you
Right.
to return to where you are. Like, okay, I felt that, I get that, but I'm not going to let that take away my peace, right? And then all the stuff happened in Minneapolis with Renee
Mm,
Good and Alex Preddy. And I was like, okay, am I spiritually bypassing here?
mm,
Am I not, is it wrong? Because I'm not trying to overstate my relevance here, but I have a platform. I have a mailing list. I have people who follow me, and finding that balance between not wanting to add to the noise and be
mhm,
part of the dysregulated energy, but
mhm,
also knowing that I want to speak for what's true and right. And like you're saying in this gate two, or not gate two, second
mhm.
line spiral. And maybe it is kind of gate two also.
But anyway,
Is
that's a
it?
whole other
Yeah.
thing.
A2 line two.
But anyway, yeah, so I feel what you're saying about, not, and I know they're two different issues, but all this is going on at the same time in the world,
Not
and the
two different
world is
issues.
just,
Yeah, it's the 55-59. It is the invitation. It's not two different things. It's just all of us are being affected in our own way. The universe is so beautifully choreographed in our favor, so many events that everybody's got their own flavor of trigger going on right now.
I get that some people will be triggered by us talking like this is happening for us, but I really asked people to sit with that. And I'm sorry to interrupt a
Yeah.
manifestor, but to sit with the idea that everything is happening for us.
Right. I know that it can sound flippant, and I know that I do have privilege to be sitting here in this skin, in this home, in this reality. I understand that there is privilege here that others do not have. And what I do with that privilege is hold the frequency of possibility, because I do know that my reality collapses the wave function of a new reality. I understand the quantum physics, even though it is not mainstream mind yet. I know this to be true. And so I, as a manifester who always goes first, who never is understood the first time, and it always looks obvious after when everybody else catches up, I'm going to hold the line of possibility. I'm holding the imagination that not just the Alex Predys and the Renee Goods, but all of the people, right? Those were just the people with our skin color of late,
Mhm.
but a
Yeah.
lot more people. And I'm holding the possibility that those people outside of these meat suits, and you can tune out from me now if you want to, because this is how I find my fractal of people. I know that those people that have in this human experience had a complete atrocious wrong put on them are outside of this biological body and see something we don't.
Mhm.
I have faith in that. That is my faith. I don't push it on anybody. I don't expect anybody else to have it, but that's the one that I hold. And I think that that is my integrity. That's the most integritist thing that I could do, is hold a line, be a clear vessel of a world outside of this terror.
Yeah.
For some people, it might still feel entitled, and that's okay, because I'm always willing to work through things. I don't know what I don't know, but what I do know is that when I know, I do better. And so I'm always on the edge of that. So thank you for bringing that up, because I think that that is important for us to address, because we're sitting here talking about it. Thank you.
Yeah. And we're in this energy of not only that, but also the gate 25.
So I wanted to talk about 55 and 59
Okay, good.
in
I
relation
love
to
talking
what's
about
going
this.
on in
Yeah.
this thing. 55 and 59, that is what is coming. It's what we're experiencing now. It is the framework of the field, the painting we're all going to live within soon.
Yeah.
And if we're looking at a painting on the wall and we all live within it, what those people are doing,
Elaborate why, for those who don't get the connection. The cross of the sleeping phoenix might
yeah,
not be as, yeah.
yeah. The painting that we all live within, right? There's all of us and this character, and what's going on in the background is what's called the cross of the sleeping phoenix, as what you just said. It's just a new chapter in the story. And this new chapter in the story of evolution is asking us to be here now, 2034, as yourself, and connect with innocence, right? So I want to say the word innocence, because 55, line 6, is the spirit of innocence. It
Mhm.
is the spirit of self. And the difference in 55 between victimization and freedom is the perception in my body. And this is the work that we're doing. So every chaos is inviting us to come into our body to see what is true. Let me give you an example. 55 has brought into my world all of the places that I still call myself a victim to the past experiences. It's bringing that frequency up in my body and giving me an opportunity to penetrate it, to 59, to be intimate with it in another way. What other way? Who I am now, 3420. That's the other way it's asking me to look at it. 59, 55, 20, and 34 are the most selfish things they could be. When I say selfish, I mean divine selfish. It is about me becoming me. Because if I don't be the thing the universe asked me to be, the universe takes me out. It does it with all of us. This is what autoimmune disease, in my belief, is doing to the population right now. It's entropying people from the inside that are not interested in actually living a life in alignment with their biology.
Okay, that I would love for you to go just a little deeper on that because I
Yeah,
feel like that there's so many people out there right now with autoimmune disease that that could feel really triggering
yeah.
without further explanation. But triggers are
Thank you for
sometimes
protecting the
needed.
community. Thank you for protecting the community. I am a trigger machine, and
I love that you're
I
saying this, and I think it's really true. So I don't want people to just tune out from it. I want
thank
people
you.
to really feel
Okay,
because
let
I
me give
believe.
you the reason and the seat that I say this from. I'm not saying
Right.
it from some researcher,
Yes.
I'm saying it from the position of having lived it. I've been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called lupus. I have been ill since I was a child, so I suppose it has been in my epigenetic structure from the very beginning. You could go back and listen to that first episode to kind of get some of that background information about my struggle with lupus. Once I was able to come back into my body. I was very disassociated for the first part of my life. And so that disassociation, this biology, right? This is pure biology. Just like this plant right here, right? And so if this plant right here had a corruption, which plants do, and it stopped operating as the plant it's designed to plant like, what happens is the chemistry is designed to entropy, to remove energy from the inside of the system. That's what autoimmune disease is a removal from energy from inside of the system. It is well, among other things, but obviously it is the T cells that are attacking healthy tissue in the body, attacking healthy things in the body. It is removing energy of health from the body, from the inside. Everything in biology does this. It's not personal. It's just
Mhm.
that you've got a biological design, and it's also designed to where if you're refusing its fruition, it has a mechanism to stop working. That's all. So, human design, not my psychology education, not my education in human addiction counseling, not my education in Jungian psychology, but the education, the following my human design, not as a Bible, but as a raft to another shore, as a map to continue to look at, to say, okay, this is my best thinking got me here. Let me play with something else. And so, this biological design, when I remember it and move with it, it then supports the health of the whole thing. Right?
Mhm.
Not sure where I was going with that.
We were talking about the 55 and the 59 and the 20 and the 34 and that
Yes,
keep
thank you.
going. Okay.
That brought it back. So, the being of ourselves. Let's go. So that picture frame, I wish I had a picture I could show you with people on it, and we could see all these people, and you could put a bazillion pictures next to each other and people on them, and they would be doing different things. What we have been doing for the past 600 years in this painting has been establishing factories and institutions and schools and communities and global economies. That's the frame. If we are 2,000 years in the future looking back at a painting of the last 600 years, it would be that. It would be institutions and banks and fat white people and such in this painting.
Mhm.
The painting that's coming, what those people are doing in that painting, 55, 59, 20, 34, is finding their fractals. I know that can be, we don't have a word for that in the world, but let me tell you what that means. So, as above, so below. What that means is everything that the earth has been through, we as humans are going to go through. everything that we as humans are going through. So if we take that lens and back up and say, okay, well, if that's the case, what I'm going to go through is what the earth went through. What did the earth go through? Well, the earth, before it was able to organize herself into forests and deserts and tundras and oceans, she was just a bunch of single molecules, just a bunch of chemistry rolling around. If we look around right now, we can see that we as human beings are kind of just a bunch of chemistry rolling around. We're all trying to find our purpose. We're bumping up against each other. We're seeing, do we fit here? Do we fit here? We are just moving around in this way. Well, what happened to the earth? Those gases, those molecules started finding symbiosis with each other. And so certain molecules and certain gases came together, certain carbons, certain things came together to make an ocean, to make land, to make trees, to organize herself into different parts. Those different parts are organized in such a way that they are symbiotic with each other. And they found each other. We, in this frame, are finding our fractals. We are finding the places and the people and the other constituents of the field that we can come together and make an ecosystem with.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so 55, 59, 20, and 34 allows us to be in that chaos and be ourselves and find our people as ourselves and have intimacy with our fractal. This is what's happening. And so we have, as we've been rolling around with each other, we have created this idea that we are all equal by way of we should all be able to do the same thing. Well, the cactus can't do what the whale does. The tree cannot do what the sand does. So they are not equal. They are valuable in their ecosystem, but they're not equal to one another. We are finding that in ourselves. We are finding where we belong, where our symbiosis belongs, where we can be free to be ourselves and still be loved. Where is your ecosystem? Where do you
I
belong?
just got back from St. Lucia and I went on this wonderful tour of a chocolate and coffee plantation that was sustainably, set up. And it was, there's so many parallels to the things that you're talking about because they talked about how you could take all of these, they had these little tricks they were doing to get the cacao, the coffee or chocolate plants started faster, healthier to grow faster. But they said if we just went and planted all of these, they would all die
Yeah.
because they need the understory. And so when we walked through and we saw like this is where they're growing, and it's like, oh, well, that's a coffee tree, that's a banana tree, that's a coconut tree, that's a mango tree. Like they're all growing together.
Everything thrives in an ecosystem that supports each other.
And if we're a chocolate tree and we're trying to grow out there in the sun and we don't have the shade of one of these other trees, that doesn't make us weak. It doesn't make us wrong. It makes us not in the right environment, in the right place. And I think that we so often think that we're all supposed to just be a monoculture.
Mhm.
And it's kind of when you think about it, like that's how we're doing everything in the world. Now we're trying to plant these huge monocultures. And we're also trying to think about how many people are raising their kids. I know so many people who told their kids, you need to either be in the health industry or engineering, or, like there's like three things. These are the only ways you're going to make money, da, 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 and they mean well, right? But those people are being taught to be, okay, maybe it's not quite a monoculture, but it is because you're still all being
Yeah. You're not being taught that the energy within you will guide you to the profession that is for the best for the field.
Right.
That's what we're moving into. And that's the ecosystem I've created. We're going first, right? You started it with that. We're going
Yeah.
first. And so I'm creating what I know to be true that is coming is this ecosystem that does not penalize us for being in the wrong place, but empowers us to find our right place from within.
Yeah. And so this is your, so if at the risk of paraphrasing this wrong, this you're creating this app or have created it and you're starting it and it's really answering what I see as a huge problem or void or need in the not just the human design community, but mainly it is human design centric, right?
Mhm.
That's kind of the core in the spiral, right? The pillar.
Mhm.
Because there are so many different ideas and ways that we are all being like I'm a human design professional living in this 3D world trying to say I'm left angle cross of uncertainty. Basically, I know nothing, right? I'm not certain of anything. I know lots, but I'm not certain of anything. I'm holding space for all of this. But the world is saying, well, if you want people to know about you and to know they can work with you and get your wisdom from you, you have to market yourself in these very 3D ways and you have to sell your services and you have to create a funnel. And I feel like the spiral is the anti-funnel, right? Like if you think they're so similar,
I know, isn't it
right?
ironic how similar they look and how paradoxical they are?
Right.
Mhm. And well, I didn't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I feel like it's a beautiful thing because I feel like there's two extremes going on out there of the people who are then pushing back from this idea that, oh, you're supposed to sell. And so they are, well, I'm just going to teach myself everything. I'm going to only learn from the books. And human design's a transmission, right? You and I both have the design of a transmitter, that 2644 channel. But just in general, people who spoke with Ra directly said it wasn't like you got a transmission, and a reading is a transmission. And it's interesting when you think about it too, like not in any way trying to equate human design as a religion. It is not a religion, okay? But there are some similarities when you look at the way that things are transmitted. And there was this whole idea, like in the Christian church, that the bishops all have to be ordained from another bishop, right? Or there's this hierarchy basically.
Mhm.
But because they say it's a transmission,
Yeah.
but it is in human design, I think when you really feel, because you can know all the stuff about your design, you can read all the things. But I honestly don't feel like until I was actually in aura with people or and had readings and those sorts of things where it really got into my beingness
Hmm.
to know what any of that was for me because otherwise it was just a bunch of rules and things. And so this spiral that you've created feels like this beautiful way for people to find resources for that transmission in one central place,
Hmm.
right?
Let's go back to that analogy of when the earth was just gaseous
Hmm.
before the constituents started coming together to create land and water and things. And let's talk about where we are at in that place. And let's talk about what this ecosystem that I created becomes a magnet. Let me tell you. So, when all of the constituents started coming together, water was on land, land was floating on water, everything was kind of intermixed and it wasn't sure what was what. It had to organize itself in a different kind of way. How did it organize itself? Well, instinctually, right? Because flora and fauna, as far as we know, don't have the ability to cognize like we do, at least express the cognition like we do. I
In a
think
way
that's
that we understand at least.
yeah. Yeah,
Right.
I think that they are much wiser than we are, and they have
Yes.
evolved out of talking because talking is bullshit. We could say whatever we want, and it's all fake, and it creates dissidence in the field. And so I think we are just babies, but that's not my
Yeah.
point. My point is, they have learned to follow their bodies into the places and spaces that are for them. The elephants follow their bodies to water. The plants follow the wind to the place that they're supposed to be and then be in the ground. Everything follows its instinctual knowing. Animals know their territory instinctually. Everything is very instinctual. And you and I are edge pushers, moving back into instinct, back into trusting our bodies to move into the places and spaces that are for us. The whale is magnetized to the part of the ocean in which supports them. The wolf is magnetized to the part of the forest that will support them, not because they decided it and read a book that said that's the place, but because they followed the magnet of their body into the right place. That's what we are learning to do right now, is follow our body into the magnet of our place. Well, how do we combat this brain that says, yeah, but I have a whole spiral called yeah, but it's the yeah, but spiral. Yeah, but I still have to live here. Yeah, but I still have to, yeah, but I still have to make sure my kids have a bedtime. Yeah, but I still have to make sure, yeah, but, right? There's a whole yeah, buts there that we as human beings say, well, if we don't actually go out and get what we want, we're never going to get it. Right? That's
Hmm.
the biggest yeah, but.
Yeah.
And I want to invite us all to remember to look back and see the way that everything is sustainable has done it. They didn't figure it out. They just allowed their magnet to bring people to them or bring the things that they needed to them, or to move them to the things that needed them. So this ecosystem that I've created is not built on funnels. It is not built on attention culture. It is not built on an 8-second soundbite. It is built on this faith. And the people that are coming with me to join me is, I say faith, and that's what makes it sound like a religion, but it's not really faith. It's the pattern of predictable behavior that we have seen the universe do over and over and over again, not having the hubris to think that we know better, just following that thing. And so this ecosystem allows you to be you in all of your phases, and it trusts that that echolocation is calling in the things that are resourceful to you because you are resourceful to them. This is quite an experiment to create a toroidal field like the universe did that sustains us all, like the forests do with all of its constituents, like the ocean does with all of its constituents.
Yeah, so many things going through my head while you're talking. There's like a spiral of everything going on in there all the time with my completely open ajna, right? And my hanging 64 with all the questions. But I was thinking about how, we have this feels like gate 55 energy again with this feeling of victimhood for freedom. But there's that fear that comes up as soon as we, like you were saying, what if we don't have whatever? But, the tree doesn't go, oh no, all my leaves are turning colors and falling off. Here, let me quick put them back on. How do I,
Nope.
right? It just happens. And then
Trust.
they come back or they don't. Some trees die. Some of us will die, some of us will get sick. And, I had this really interesting experience when I was in St. Lucia, where I was there with my husband. We were celebrating our 30th anniversary. And I joked with him that we spent more time together in this week than we have in the last year because we are very independent people. And we were together 24/7 for 7 days. And that has not happened in a while because we've even done separate like vacations and things because whatever, we're, like I said, very independent people.
The face.
There was a whole lot of stuff that I was processing about our relationship. And on the last full day there, we were going for a little walk in the morning and a very simple stepping down a hill where there was some gravel. My foot slid just the right way and I fell forward in a way that I really, tore up my leg pretty good. Nothing, no like real damage, but like I've got big scabs and a nice big bruise on my hip. And when I fell, there was this feeling in my body that I've gotten to the point where I understand this was something important. And I felt this like emotional release in that moment. And he like right away was like, "Are you okay?" And he reached to help me. And I said, "Yeah, I'm okay, but just give me a minute." And he was, right there ready to help me up when I was ready. And then I did, and it was very symbolic because I was like, "Okay, but I need, no, like I knew I needed to push myself up with my own hands to get up properly, but
Mhm.
having him there to hold on to as I then
Oh,
got to a point, and it
mhm.
was really a thing I felt very deeply in that moment, right? And like I was crying, not from pain. Like there was this like shift, like something really happened in me that really made me, one, know that I was supported, but also know that I was still me, independent and taking care of myself. And that I was really fortunate to have someone who allowed me to do both. Not always at the times what, there are times where I wanted somebody to, do the one thing when I'm being forced to do the other. That doesn't always work that way, right? And that's
Mhm.
because we're all on our own paths, our own spirals, and sometimes we're missing each other in those moments. But in
Mhm.
that shift, in that moment, I felt something release. And
Oh,
it was in the new moon energy in gate 30 also.
oh,
So it was
mhm.
that whole thing of desire, and that gate 29, which is the commitment. I'm not sure why I started telling this story, like what we were talking about when I felt drawn to say, but I feel like there is something going on right now where I've been in this, as a second line, I've really been in this hermit kind of thing and of like doing my own thing, having my time with my husband, and now I'm back and it's like my, spending some time with my daughter. And our daughter's 25. It's not like she's whatever. She lives here and she was by herself while we were gone and that sort of thing. And but yet there's this part of me that keeps knowing that all of this is really important to all of this that I'm here to do in the world, right?
Mhm.
Like being able to really model that you don't have to always choose, right?
Yeah.
So many times I see so many women who, especially when their kids grow up, they're all of a sudden like, well, I don't know what to do now because I gave it all up in order to raise my kids, and now my kids are on their own and they don't know what to do. And so I guess I'm just going to do whatever my husband needs me to do. And I'm just going to, and they get caught up into those things. And then I also see women, men who like don't know what to do with their wives now that all of a sudden they have this energy and they're like, and I shouldn't just say wives, partners too, they have
Right.
all this energy now to do something new and they're like, wait, I thought you were a wife and mother person, right? So there's all this newness that's coming out of us in these layers as we spiral and we go through life in these different times and phases.
Mhm.
I'm
Well, you
wondering.
started with 63 in Venus. You started
Mhm,
with that. And what that tells me is that it's all of the T's with a lowercase t, all the truths with a lowercase t are coming to the fore. What truths with a lowercase t? All our Venusian truths, all of our repressed truths,
mhm.
all of our expressed truths in the Venusian realm are coming to the fore so that we could see. I say so that, right? It's like a commerce thing that I really want to talk myself out of because there's no so that. We are being invited to take a look at the way that we have repressed or expressed our Venusian qualities. What are the stories that we are telling about that? And what are the new stories that we can tell? Relating is changing with this new 55-59, the new changing of the guard. The way that we relate is changing because we have to be our individuated selves. Imagine, again, back to that gas gaseous earth. Let's imagine that there's this gas and they fell in love with each other, but they found out that this one's for the forest and this one's for the desert. Does that mean the love doesn't exist anymore because they have to go do their things?
Right.
They remember that they are all the same thing together. Relating is changing. And what love means is that we all find our place and we support each other to find our place. What does our place
Yeah.
mean? That place that feels like the kingdom of heaven. I've done a lot of theological studies and I've been able to connect some of those with quantum physics, like a lot of people have done in
Hmm.
this era. And so you can see that the kingdom of heaven is in the natural biological frequency expression of your biology, which is found by moving away your neurology, not letting it go away because then you get stuck in disassociation, but
Right.
but nurturing, re-nurturing this baby brain, Aries at 0 degrees. What do we bring into structure? What imagination, Neptune? Are we going to make real Saturn in Aries at 0 degrees, which means I'm going to do it and push everything out of my way. So this is the time when
Right.
in our relationships, we are no longer submitting to each other. Whoever's doing the submitting,
Yeah.
where
Yes.
we are being asked to rise to the occasion of being ourselves. This heretical, we are, I believe, in the fifth line stage of relationship growth. We are being heretics of ourselves. We're saying, baby, I know we built the foundation. We married each other. We put the rings on our fingers. We said that we would till death do us part. And then we had a great time doing it. And then we realized it didn't work so well. And then we
Yeah.
went to the community and saw, oh my gosh, it doesn't work so well for anybody. And now
Yeah.
it's fifth lining saying, okay, how do we do this different? And so, what you just shared with you and your husband so beautifully is that you have allowed your 30-year marriage to ebb and flow through the spiral of everything. And
Mhm.
it sounds like you at this fifth line stage of heresy of saying, wait a second, or maybe even sixth line, like you decide where you're at, look at it and see what feels familiar. Maybe you're at the sixth line where you realized the next thing coming is you and only you being supported when you give consent to be supported.
Yeah.
That was a powerful one. And I know we broke out, but this is, I want to say again, because devil ain't gonna get me today. Consent. The
Yes.
sixth line in relationships is about consensual help.
Yes.
Just because your husband was standing there, he has this paradigm role that says, I must, I must, I must, I must, I should.
Hmm.
And you guys had the experience of wiping that away and letting your autonomous desire be the thing that asked for what it needed.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really a powerful moment. And I thank you for helping me to put all of this into perspective because those who know me well know that my relationship has been a huge source of support, but it's also been, I could really see my gate 55 and the blaming and complaining, but it's also the freedom.
Yeah.
The true freedom is what, and that's the thing that I've really realized is when I realized that I was free and then had to let him know that I was free because he didn't really understand it. Well, what do you mean you get to do? And I'm like, well, I get to do it or I get to do it on my own, but I get to do it, right?
Yeah.
So, and what I've continually realized is that, there needs to be that allowing on both parts. And and that's where it's been a continual reevaluation, but looking at every time that I notice myself blaming or complaining, he's a fifth line. So it's
Mm.
really easy for me to complain and blame about something that really is my own thing to do. And I have gate 59 3 times in my design. And I also have one of them is my Venus, my design Venus. So that feels really relative to a lot of this. And I don't know how we wound up on all of the spiral, this
Spiral.
conversation is spiraling all over the place. So hopefully
It
people
does.
are following along with what they want to get out of it, or what they need to get out of it, and there might just only
I
be for
trust.
this. I'm certainly enjoying having this conversation, but I do think it's important to bring it back to what you're creating. And because what I've realized, like, so for example, one of your spirals is relationships. And relationships, like you said, there are these different points. And, there are times where we can think, oh my God, I thought we were through that.
Mhm.
I thought
There's
we
no
dealt with
way.
that already,
We
right?
have strange supposition in our mind that like somebody promised us arrival, like there is a
Right.
finish point somewhere. No such
Right.
thing. Best thing we can do for ourselves is just forget that we think that we're getting anywhere.
But we just keep going around and we all have things that we approach at different levels as we
Yeah,
keep spiraling up
that's right.
and outward. And, you know, and it is what it is.
And staying regulated within it, I'd love to say this again in our community. Regulation doesn't mean a yoga priestess with a calm voice.
Yes.
Regulation through the spiral of everything means being able to, as the Chinese say, practice Wu Wei, the act of moving with your body when your body wants to move and not when it doesn't, and no judgment about it, knowing that that is absolutely perfect. It's not about not getting angry. Anger is part of the system. It's not about not being sad. Sadness is part of the system. It's all part of the spiral of everything. And most of us get caught in these spirals and don't allow ourselves to evolve because we try to fix anger. We try to fix sadness. We try to fix shame. And we get stuck here thinking, I shouldn't be ashamed of myself. Well, fuck yeah, you should if you did something shameful. Be
Right.
shameful, move on. You should
Right.
be angry if it's something to be angry about. Be angry, move on. It is something to be happy about when there is happiness. Allow happiness and
Yeah.
move on. That's regulation, is to allow the in-breath and out-breath of every single one of the spectrum of emotions to be in our human experience. And so how do this is the spiral of everything is the tool that I created for myself in my own experiment so that I could allow myself the fullest expression of my humanness
Yeah.
without getting stuck trying to pathologize and therapize myself out of some very natural human emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I do want to, talk about the relationship standpoint from, the last podcast you were on. We had your partner, Richard, together, and you guys have since, I think you referred to it as a conscious uncoupling.
Yes.
Is that the term you use? And I think that that's really important to just acknowledge because, as I'm sitting here talking about my relationship and all these things, there's a part of me that says, oh, maybe I shouldn't talk about this around her because she's gone through whatever. But I think it's important that we all be able to talk about these things in a way that we don't make our things, our joy and our lessons smaller because someone else is in a difficult place. Or
Absolutely.
I don't even want to put that label there for you because I
It's
believe,
not difficult.
yeah, I believe that we need to make it be just as okay to make the decision to have the conscious uncoupling as we do make it okay to stay and get through the hard parts, right?
Right.
And
That's right.
so,
Let me share with you, though, what that conscious uncoupling means to me, because it means to me that it's not just some spiritualized word for breaking up. It is
yes,
absolutely not. It is something completely different than that. For me, it is the commitment to my love of myself and my love of him. That's the spiral we're in right
yes,
now, is where they couldn't exist in the same space. And so
right,
in order to continue to love him and to love me, there was a change in lifestyle that needed to happen between the two of us. There is no wrong, there's no bad, there's no shameful. He is being his six line self. I'm being my six line self. I found myself in the very normal role that I've seen everywhere, that we've all seen everywhere, of submission. That was a beautiful place for me to be because I had some mythology to work out about what it means to receive without abandoning myself. Because that's what submission looked like to me. It looked like abandoning myself. So
Mm.
every relationship that we get into is asking us to move through our own individual spiral. They're not all for the same reason. Your spiral may be commitment and togetherness. My spiral is actually standing out. My spiral is learning to receive and be this. Everybody has a
Right.
different spiral that they're moving through. So to judge a couple's success based on context that you know no idea about. And so
Right.
now conscious uncoupling means I'm devoted to my love of him. I don't love easily. And when you have my love has never, you will never not have my love. That is just the way that I work. And so I will do everything I can to love you and me
Right.
at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
That is this conscious uncoupling. And so I am devoted to continuing to love him. And I
Yeah.
couldn't do it in the way we were doing it before.
Yeah. No, I think that it's an important thing. And, I will say, and I always hesitate because I don't like to tell too many tales about my husband, even because I have this history of complaining and blaming in the past.
As long
I
as we
don't,
always talk about ourselves, we're in
yeah,
integrity.
I
Mhm.
don't want to feel like I am doing that, but I do feel like it's important to say that I have gone through these times where, I've honored my emotional authority because in moments I have said to myself, are you staying small and safe here in this relationship, And then I,
I'd like to interrupt and say there's an appropriate time to stay small and safe in a relationship.
mhm. But I also realize that I am safe in this relationship. And if I'm staying small, that's my choice.
Right.
So what if I stay safe in this relationship, but stop staying small? What
Mhm.
if I say, I'm going to be the big me, but not use it to be a bully? Because, my design, it's very easy for me to use my root solar plexus and combination energy. My emotional wave is a very powerful weapon
Mhm.
against a man with a completely undefined solar plexus, right? So I could often get what I want in ways that were not necessarily the
In
highest
integrity. Mhm.
integrity, right? So really looking at, okay, and the more I've looked at my design with my gate 59 three times in my design, one of which is my in Gene Keys, my radiance, my sun. So relationships and intimacy, that's important to me. And so I have this 14-8, my conscious sun and earth, that says, do the things you're here to do that you love, that light you up in your individual way and that sort of thing. But can you be free and supported in an intimate relationship while you're doing it? Can you show how that exists? And I feel like I'm here as a bridge,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
to help people see that you don't have to give it all always all up, but that you have to give it all up if you can't. You know what I mean? But you get to choose. It's a
Yeah.
paradox, right? So realizing, because so many times we run away from a job, a town, a parent, a family, a friendship. I have so much history of pulling back when friendships get difficult, you know.
I want to challenge for just 1 second. I'm hearing some things and I want to invite us back into the gaseous state.
Okay.
If you trust your intuition when you pulled away from those friends, you would have no story about it in your
Right.
head.
Yeah. Right, but sometimes if we are pulling back for reasons that are not in integrity, that
Right.
they are
Where's it
victim,
coming from?
is it coming from blaming and complaining kind of energy rather than free to pull back from someone who doesn't see you? And so now that's an interesting thing to sit with. Am I pulling back because I'm blaming them for something I am? Some people are here to provoke us. My daughter's here to provoke me. I mean, she's not here for me. She's here for herself. But
Right.
her role as a cross of tension manifester,
Oh, yeah. Is
right?
to bring tension to the field.
Right.
Right.
And here I am, her projector mother, which, I'm not meant to guide manifestors, but
Yeah.
I'm her mother, so that's a lot of provoking. So there are many times where if it was any other relationship, it would have been easy to just run away.
This intersection that we get to, we could sit here and get paralyzed in that questioning, in that, am
Hmm.
I, am I, am I, am I? And we get to trust that if you are, it is right. And so that's again, this ecosystem that I created is going to test all of our paradigms that say, because what you just did is what is normal. It's what we've been taught to do. It's what we think is the spiritual thing. When I sit and I say, should I run away? Am I running away from this place or of this place? I'm here to say it doesn't fucking matter. You ran away. Let's arrive there. Let's trust that that was the right thing to do. Let's not
Hmm.
pathologize why you did it. Because the reason being, and this is what the spiral helps do, is because you ran away. That happened. We are going to make a whole supposition that says what happened is the right thing to have happened. Period. Okay, I ran away. Does that feel like a feeling of intuition that I ran away? Or, right? Or was it because I was afraid that he was going to repeat the pattern of my mother? Now, only now, after you have arrived at, I ran away and I trust my body that running away was the right thing. It doesn't fucking matter why you did it. If it was old
Hmm.
neurology or if it was actually your body's energy moving away from something it wasn't right for, we get there too soon. We gaslight ourselves out of the whole experience of the feeling of, I fucking left and that was right. So, the reason I bring this up is because you bring, and I do this too, we all have been taught that being a good person means questioning our motives. But what the shaman of our village didn't teach us is first we have to believe ourselves. First, we have to trust ourselves that whatever it was we did was the right thing for ourselves. Period.
Yeah.
That's what 59, 55, 2034. These new ecosystems are inviting us into that undercurrent of remembering that whatever it is we did was the right thing. I trust me, period. It doesn't matter if my neurology is the thing that's running me. I trust it. It's here for a reason. I can't keep gaslighting myself out of it because that's what the fucking world is doing to each other. That's what triggers me about the world is they're gaslighting each other out of their own experience. I'm doing the same damn thing to myself when I don't allow myself to say I ran and that's okay.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think about in this again, it's like not blaming my mother or anything either, but being raised in a Catholic family where everything was like, go upstairs and think about what you've done.
Oh, right.
Right.
Purgatory.
That was always the worst punishment. Like, would you just spank me or something? But no, go think about how do you think you made them feel?
Yeah.
Wow, how did we get here in this conversation? But I often have had all these questions, all the time questions. And then when I look at my design and I'm like, oh, well, you have one hanging gate two times on your undefined head, and it's my Pluto.
So you
So,
have a position that you should not have thoughts or questions, right? There's this thing, you're like, oh, I have all these questions.
and now I just let myself have the questions and I don't really care what the answer is.
Right.
So it drives other people crazy because they think I want the answer. And I'm like, no, I just want to say the question. I just
Yeah.
want to put the
Want to
question
be in
out there.
connection.
I put the questions out there in the world and somebody else can come up with the answers or not.
Here's
But
a real abstract philosophical thing from Brandy the philosopher is I think this entire universe is a question.
yeah,
I think
Absolutely.
all of this is a question just being answered in the becoming. And so again, I'm not trying to plug the ecosystem. It seems like I am, but it's all that. This ecosystem that I have built allows you to stay on the edge of your becoming and still be resourced and still live and still experience life as a human being, but stay on the edge of your becoming without having to shrink or
Yes.
change.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to be able to be you in a way that allows other people to totally be them
Hmm.
and not feel someone else not wanting to be the way you are threatens the way you're getting to be you, right? So, and I feel like that's part of going back to the whole thing of like the collective thing.
Yeah, I'm saying that it wouldn't stimulate you if it wasn't alive in you. For instance,
Yeah.
I called you a hairy green monster. It is
Right,
not
right,
going to
right, sure.
stimulate you unless you're a hairy green monster. Same thing.
Okay. So,
Everything I look out in the world that I'm like, oh, I don't like that. It's because I don't like it in me. It's because I don't like that it lives in me.
yeah, that's kind of the things I was saying about my marriage when I was realizing I was complaining about things. It was really about things in me that I needed to come up in me to deal with, but I'm making them
Yeah.
be about him, for example.
Right.
Or in friendships, the same thing. You can be like, why aren't they more this way? And then you're like, well, maybe I need to be more that way, or maybe I
It's
need to
always
be
the
less that
anecdote.
way, or whatever. There's usually
Yeah.
something. Otherwise, we just let
The
things
backwards
be.
mirror, right? If I'm looking
Yeah,
in a mirror saying that shouldn't happen, and I'm
right.
like, oh, well, let's
Yes.
come from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I feel like we have definitely gone round and round and round about a lot of really interesting things for me. I do want to wrap things up though by just saying this spiral of everything that you're creating is this beautiful thing I wanted to talk about, but I also wanted to talk about it in context of a couple of things, which first of all is we're both going to be in Miami in April.
Yummy.
Yeah, for the human design experience, I believe is what it's
Yeah.
being called, with my buddy Jess Tilley, and she's one of the people organizing that. And so we've got that coming up, and then in the fall we've got the high desert. You have
Yes.
taken over
Yeah.
high desert human design, and you're going to be using this spiral of everything in as part of
Design the
that.
offerings. Can I say a little bit about that?
Yeah,
Like the
absolutely.
ecosystem that we were talking about and bring it from the abstract into the practical?
Yes.
What it is a website and an app and the conference where I am connecting facilitators, people, wisdom keepers, people who, as a consequence of being alive in the world, on the edge of their becoming, have things to offer the world that in order to stay on the edge of their becoming, they can't necessarily build a website and a podcast and a this and a that. And it's not even their business to try to figure out how to give it to the world. It's their business to be in the wisdom. So
Right.
the wisdom keepers, I have developed a structure to where they can take their what I call compost, right? As a consequence of being alive, you have something. And I've created a structure in which they can put those somethings and get resourced for it. In that structure, people like me, seekers, will come and be able to hear or see all of the offerings and choose with my body into what is right for me instead of being marketed and persuaded to come to you. This is an ecosystem where both the wisdom keeper and the participant are both coming from the insides of themselves in all of their interactions. And again, because it's online, most of it, the website platform and the app itself has communities like social media communities, has podcasts and courses and all the things, but it's not about consumption. It's about connection. It's about finding your fractal and seeing the symbiosis in the relationship when you find your fractal. And then we'll come together in the fall, live in person, and we will together practice in that same structure. That structure is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what does that mean? I have a teaching about love. Well, you're going to be able to come and learn about love from the first line. What does love even mean? From the
Mhm.
second line, what does love even feel like? from the
Right.
third line. Well, that's what love is to you. This is what it is to me. Let's go back and forth about what love can be. And then 4, we're all going to talk about our experience of love. And then 5, we're going to say, what the fuck does love have to do with anything? And then at 6, we're going to see the peril
Right.
of it. That's the community that we're building. And so the app experience will be daily reminders and communion. And then the live experience will be where we can actually integrate it together.
I'm excited about all of that. I'm especially excited to be seeing you in just a couple months in Miami, ready to go back to the sun. It's nice here today, but I mean, it's certainly not St. Lucia nice, which is where we just were, but
Sure.
Miami will be close, right? And so,
I've never been to Miami.
oh, you haven't?
Mm.
I've been there once, many, many, many years ago, like before I met my husband for a work thing. And we don't have, I don't, we'll put some info in the description about where to get tickets for Miami.
Miami.
And then also, as far as the high desert thing, probably the best thing would be to get on one of ours or both of our mailing lists, and we can put that in there so that you'll get updated when tickets are available for the Santa Fe High Desert Human Design Conference. I don't remember the number that I was, what episode that was that I did with him, but I'll put that in the description also. But he's the creator of the High Desert Human Design Conference, and he has decided to move on to other things in some ways. And maybe you can explain how the whole handoff transition took us.
Yeah. Well, Jonah and I was the very first sponsor of the very first High Desert Human Design, very first year. I've been with Jonah in this creation. He has brought together a beautiful, I love to call it like just a circus of humans
Right.
that have come together and feel so free to express themselves that everybody is wildly expressing for 5 years. And we all felt so free to do that. And as Jonah, as any good heretic would do, has moved on.
Right.
And so he and I, I've given him over the 5 years. I've been trying to give him this spiral over 5 years. Every year, I'm like, hey, it would be easier if we just did it this way in my 6-line self. It was never
Right.
time until now. It was never
Right.
time. And so he has so wonderfully, I'm taking it over and I am expressing it in a 6-line way. I'm taking the circus and I'm organizing it into patterns in which we can embody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have more info about that when we get closer.
Yes.
That's in September.
Miami.
See you in Miami. We're both going to be presenting there. That's going to be fun and exciting, and hopefully do a little dancing or something in the evenings there because it's Miami, right? Gotta
Um,
go dance in Miami.
well, yes, and I love that you say that because I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I'm splenic. I'm just going to show up and do it. But what has been coming through me is a lot of, I mean, music comes through me all the time. I have a Spotify list for almost every human design mechanic, by the way.
Mm, okay.
And so for me, it's been about music too.
Oh, cool.
I wonder what that's going to bring. It'll be exciting to
Yeah,
dance.
I'm not sure exactly what I'm presenting, but I know it's going to be about radical self-trust, and it'll probably be a little bit heavy on the Gate 55 kind of energy and this idea of trusting this uncertainty.
Yeah.
I think, is there anything else you want to tell people about what you're offering, or if they want to, we'll put your contact
Um,
info in the description, but
please contact me, join these mailing lists so that you get the information of when things happen. What just came through me when you shared that though is maybe in Miami hold a yeah but dance space. So everybody can bring all of their yeah buts. I know that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, but I have to eat tomorrow. Oh, but I thought this, but bring all their yeah buts. We'll answer the yeah buts and then we'll dance about it. We'll move them out so that we no longer have them in our body or something. Anyway,
fun.
it'll be something like that. It'll be fun where I'm a very plutonic being like you. We'll go into the dark and then we'll dance with it.
Dancing is definitely something that I will be there for. No yeah buts about it. And
No yeah buts about it. Thank you,
so
Kathy. I love hanging out with you.
You too. Thank you so much for spiraling around my open ajna there.
Let's do it.
Peace out, everybody.
Thanks for joining me for this episode of Real Human Design Stories. I hope these stories help you see how human design can reframe not only your own story, but also the stories you tell yourself about your relationships. If you're ready to tell a more empowered story about who you came here to be, I invite you to explore ways to work with me directly at kathybashanko.com. Supporting this podcast is easy. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star rating, comment, and share with your friends. This helps the podcast grow the most. You can also become a contributing sponsor for as little as 99 cents a month. Details are available at realhumandesignstories.com. Thanks again for being here. Peace out, everybody.